To this now, workers at Barbel restaurant in Menlyn claim they are mistreated by the owners of the establishment. In a social media clip, one employee alleges that they are forced to buy their own uniform and that management dips into their tips. The employee has since been dismissed. She had agreed to speak to us but has pulled out. Let's take a listen to that TikTok video.
So what happened is I went for a job interview. I showed them my CV and my socials, and I was hired on the spot. And then they told me that I should buy a uniform for this job, right? So a cross belty, a white shirt, black shorts, black apron, black shoes. I was like, okay, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to buy those things because I'm just grateful that I got the job. It was a bit for me at first because I was like, I've worked at other places previously and I've never had to buy my own uniform. But I was like, hey, it's whatever. I went to work the next day and then there was just like, oh, guys, there were more things piling up. As waitresses, Zitibana, we have to buy our own equipment, right? I didn't know about that. So basically, equipment is a bottle opener, a cigar cutter, a cigarette lighter, cigar lighter. Yeah, but like you buy all of these things yourself out of your own pocket. Mind you, I had just spent 1,000 rand on just the uniform, excluding alterations, excluding the transport fees, and now I have to buy the equipment myself. But I was like, you know what, it's fine. This was 10 years because I had all of these things within the second day that I was working there, only to find out that there is no contract. There is nothing that is legally binding between you and the restaurant. You just go there, you work. If you get fired, you get fired because there's no contract. How are you going to defend yourself? That was the second red flag.
Well, that is that viral TikTok video that we are speaking about tonight, just honing in on the conditions in the hospitality industry. We did reach out to the owners of that restaurant in Menlyn of Barbel. They did decline the interview, but said they will be sending out a statement. But joining me now is Godwin Ratikwani, who is the EFF Gauteng Command Team member. Godwin, thank you so much for joining us. We just listened to that really disheartening video as well. As the EFF, you have issued a statement noting with grave concern this alleged exploitation.
Yes, we are concerned as the EFF, and we believe that this must be dealt with and decisively. So it actually calls for a lot of things. But also I think it's important that, of course, viewers that we have here and the community in general, community of workers as well, that they thank this young lady for coming and being brave enough to raise this particular issue, because it's not easy for workers to come on the platform and tell people exactly what is happening behind closed doors. And of course, as Capital does not forget, they will try and deal with her. In this case, they've already dismissed her, and we believe that as the EFF, we have a duty to protect her.
And as you're mentioning, it was pretty brave of her to speak out as well, because now she's facing the consequence of being unemployed. It couldn't have been easy. She must have been brave to speak out, and it couldn't have been easy for her to pull out of tonight's interview as well. What does that tell us about the environment in which people in the hospitality industry, our waiters and watrons, operate under? That they can't even voice their concerns without fear of being dismissed, or that they can't even come to a program like this because they may be intimidated?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And I must declare, that I have extensive working relationships with the Departments of Labor, with the bargaining councils that regulate the sectors, both nationally and regionally. And I do have that good relationship with them. And I believe that, these kind of things are here to actually explain what sort of pressure they go under as workers. And we're dealing with a lot of problems that are underlying, because the system is brutal itself. Workers go on without contract of employment. Workers go on without national minimum wage being complied with by different employers. And if you raise your voice, you are being dealt with decisively by them, and they hold all the power. They can litigate all the way, knowing very well that you will not be able to afford the litigation. But again, we are dealing here with this case. When we listen to the content of that particular case, it's very concerning that tools of trade, such as wine openers and cigar cutters, have to be something that the employer would allegedly want the particular employee to buy. It is a very serious problem that must be dealt with. And in fact, the EFF, as has already committed, it is going to be visiting that particular restaurant to go and find out exactly what is happening. But also, different stakeholders also will be engaged. The leadership of the Bargaining Council of Pretoria Food will also have to come on board to do their own inspections, because they have a main agreement that they have to enforce in different companies. We also have the Department of Labor that might need to chip in to make sure that registrations has been done for those particular employees. But if you work without a contract, if you work without a pay slip, if you are being paid with tips, according to that particular main agreement, you are not supposed to be paid with your own tip. Your tip is actually not part of your remuneration. Even the Department of Labor will tell you different inspections that were done recently by them, together with the Department of Home Affairs, were very clear that tips do not form part of the your remuneration. And if the employee then is on commission, in an event that the commission is less than the national minimum wage, the employer was supposed to pay those particular employees the national minimum wage, which is basically reviewed on annual basis. And in this case, it seems that if someone is saying, I came back with 100 rand for that particular day because a breakage and a runner's fee, which is illegal deductions to an extent, already showing you that there is a problem, because you are not supposed to be deducting that kind of money from the employee to start with.
I mean, Godwin, there's so many things wrong here too. And as you're mentioning in that video, the young lady does say that she made 100 rand on that night as well. And she had been working from 1 p.m. until 2 a.m. And to go home with 100 rand and also having to pay extra as well. But on the tips too, it seems that not only are they getting only the tips and not a basic, but that tip as well is also being deducted, and
Yes.
a certain portion is going to the restaurant. But it doesn't seem that it's only Bubble in Menlyn that's
Yes.
doing this. It seems like it's a problem across the board.
Yes.
In your relations with the Department of Labor and the various stakeholders as well, where are they?
Yeah, so we need to make sure that we encourage people and workers in general to blow that whistle and inform us and draw their attention, because there's so many establishments out there, and the only way we'll know is when there is a request from workers for intervention of the EFF. In this case, the EFF is there in Central, just next to CCMA on Pretoria Street. Anyone that has got an issue has to just visit the EFF offices, and then there will also be a hotline that we're going to establish as the EFF to make sure that all complaints come through, of course. And then from there, the different stakeholders that are responsible legally to go and also attend to these matters, because we have different institutions that can play a role. But the problem is that if people are too scared to blow the whistle, then it becomes a very serious problem. People must do it for other people that are coming, or their co-workers, and also the future workers, because when they dismiss this particular young lady, it doesn't end there. They're going to come and hire somebody else and continue with the same treatment with somebody else. So when you leave the matter and then you resign and you think that the conditions will be better, you are just running away from the same thing, because the system of capital itself is brutal, and it works all over the sectors. It's not just this one. So there's a lot of restaurants that are doing this, and we have to call out workers and ask them to blow that whistle so that we can attend to this matter as soon as possible. So we can deal with these people. We'll come to them like a ton of bricks, and they will never, ever continue with this particular treatment of workers. In an event that we have, that matter has reached our attention, we will be waiting for those particular complaints, and we will start by addressing this one.
Come on them like a ton of bricks. You've also mentioned that for this particular restaurant, the EFF will be visiting that restaurant too. What is the objective of that? What are you hoping to achieve?
So one, as a political party, the EFF has a right to go out there and address issues that are societal and community issues. We can deal with the semantics of whether they are relevant people and so on, but we are not going to sit back and look at our sisters and brothers being exploited and then being told that, no, you're not supposed to intervene. Secondly, is to work together with the bargaining councils, to work together with the CCMA, work together with the Department of Labor to make sure, and trade unions, by the way, that are also representing workers in that particular sector, to make sure that we address this matter sectors. Because a lot of these issues, you find that there is a lot of bureaucracy that entangles all parties to an extent that no one is able to do anything. But inspections must happen, and it must become the order of the day until we clean out this mess.
Inspections must happen indeed. Godwin, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
in
you.
studio for this very important conversation.